everybody, and welcome to Silverstone for the 10th race of the 2017 Euroformula Open Championship. We're here at the home of the British Grand Prix as we are about to embark on the second half. It's been a thrilling season of racing so far. 15 laps await us on what is a somewhat overcast day here. So we have got 4 race weekends over the next 2 months, which will crown our champion for this year. It's hello from Ben Evans on a overcast and potentially showery and drizzly afternoon here at Silverstone. We've had the race declared wet, though as yet we haven't had any precipitation coming down. So the teams make their way to the grid. So will our pole sitter once more, Harrison Scott, who is currently on course for a total clean sweep of the weekend, in that he took pole position, race victory and the fastest lap yesterday. He has taken pole position once more, his 7th of the season. Earlier on today, he will share the front row of the grid with the Canadian Devlin DiFrancesco, with then Alex Karkozik and Yanni Fitcher on the second row of the grid. In terms of the championship then, well, Harrison Scott leads the way on 207 points, and therefore an 86-point lead over his nearest challenger, Nikita Troitsky, who's second in the standings from Amir Vardanathan in third, Thiago Vivacqua fourth, and Devlin DiFrancesco in 5th position. So that is how the championship is positioned, how the race is going to unfold. We'll find out. It's going to be 15 laps, or if we do have a prolonged safety car, then it would revert to a 35-minute timed race. Now the weather, the rain is forecast to start falling at some point in the next hour. Ready for the teams, very different conditions to those that we enjoyed earlier on in the weekend, because we had some glorious sunshine for free practice on Friday. Yesterday's racing was held in really perfect late summer conditions. As you can see, this is weather more akin to the British summer in that it's cold, damp and somewhat breezy. But what that also means is that we should get more of a slipstreaming effect around the track. So pole position for Harrison Scott, 7 wins already to his credit this season. He has had 2 weekends thus far. He's won both races. This could well be his 3rd clean sweep weekend in the first 5 events of the season. Devlin DiFrancesco in pursuit of his first victory. He has finished on the podium 3 times, including excellent runners-up finish yesterday after a tenacious and hard-fought drive. Third on the grid for Alex Karkozik, having by far his best weekend in the Euroformula Open to date. He finished 3rd overall yesterday after a front row qualifying, and he will again start at the sharp end of the field. 4th on the grid for Yanni Fitcher. The Fortec team didn't have the greatest of days yesterday, but Yanni has shown his pace more often than not this season, and from 4th on the grid he will look to be pushing on and challenge for a podium. 5th on the grid, the driver who's 2nd in the championship, Nikita Troitsky. He really needs, if he can, to get back on to the rostrum. And that's the task for the Russian. And then 6th on the grid for Matheus Iorio, who leads the Campos Racing charge this weekend. The Brazilian, he's only been on the podium once so far this year. That came in the very first race of the season in Estoril. He's also had a lot of bad luck, a few incidents along the way, many of which haven't been altogether his fault. But this a chance for Iorio to leap up from 10th in the standings. 7th on the grid, Thiago Vivacqua, who's 4th in the championship. One of only 2 other drivers to have won a race this year, and his triumph came in the first race at the Hungaroring. Making his debut this weekend in the championship is Ben Hingley, making the step up from the British Formula 3 Championship. And Hingley running with the Fortec team. Very impressive in free practice, and yesterday a bit more to do on the grid from 8th on the grid today. Cameron Dass, another debutant, the American, the reigning American Formula 4 champion, showed really great pace in the race yesterday. It's not quite yet got to the very sharp end of the field in qualifying. Here's the lineup in full, with Harrison Scott and Devlin DiFrancesco sharing the front row. Then Alex Karkozik and Yanni Fitcher on row 2. Row 3 is Nikita Troitsky and Matheus Iorio. The 4th row, Thiago Vivacqua and Ben Hingley. On to row 5, Cameron Das and Petru Florescu. Then Emir Weidenathan and Simon Laxton both got long afternoons ahead of them from the 6th row, but they should progress. Good qualifying for Lodovico Laurini to line up in 13th, ahead of Tarun Reddy. Then Eliseo Martinez and Christian Hahn on the 8th row of the grid, with the field completed by Pedro Cardoso and Guilherme Samaya, who is also making his championship debut this weekend here at Silverstone. So the grid being cleared. Just one mechanic remaining with the car to make sure that it all fires up okay. And then they'll be released onto their formation lap just to see if the track conditions have changed. I'm looking from the commentary box window and the sky is very grey looking out towards Luffield, but it's not as yet raining as best I can tell. So that seems to be the case from the shots we're getting on the grid. So though the race has been declared wet, I think it's going to be much later in the race when we do get the precipitation. So final handshakes on the grid for the drivers. They are left then with their thoughts getting ready for being released onto the formation lap. Silverstone, a circuit that always produces excellent racing in the Euroformula Open, because with long straights, heavy braking zones, overtaking is eminently possible, particularly on a breezy day like today, where the drivers are going to be coming into quite a stiff headwind in certain parts of the circuit, particularly I think down the Wellington Straight and also down the start and finish straight is where they're possibly going to be feeling the effects of the breeze the most. It just means that the car in front punching the hole through the air, it's a little bit easier for those behind to follow in the slipstream and then tow their way through. So engineers and mechanics heading back to the pit boxes, getting ready to watch the start. Last pieces of advice maybe being proffered via radios to the drivers. A good view, as ever, from the BRDC clubhouse, which is for the members of the British Racing Drivers Club, who are the proprietors of the Silverstone circuit. So the car's firing up. Last couple of mechanics clearing the grid. And hopefully they'll all be away without any drama onto the formation lap. So the car's fired up, waiting for the signal. Just a couple of moments away from the 10th race of the Euroformula Open season here in Silverstone. Harrison Scott, the runaway championship leader, starting once more from pole position. Alongside him, Devlin De Francesco, row 2. Alex Karkozik and Yanni Fitcher. And then the driver who's currently second in the championship standings, Nikita Troitsky, starts from 5th as Harrison Scott leads the field towards Copse Corner. The last chance for them to see how the track conditions have changed since qualifying first thing this morning. If you've not seen a Euroformula Open race before, well, this is essentially a Formula 3 championship. They're all in the Dallara F312 chassis. They have the control engine and various other control components supplied by the championship organisers GT Sport. And they run on the control compound Michelin tyre, which has been fascinating to observe during qualifying. It's been taking a lot of management as a problem for Guilherme Samaya from the back of the grid. The Carlin driver failing to get the car fired up, so he will start from the pit lane. Disappointment for him, although it's not going to unduly affect his chance in the way that it may have done if he'd been right at the front of the grid. So in qualifying, the Michelin tyre has been giving them just 1 or 2 laps of peak performance to set a quick time, and therefore over the course of the 15 laps they're just going to have to make sure that they manage the tyre, because what we've seen time and time again is it's a tyre that rewards with absolutely brilliant performance, but in terms of teaching the drivers around tyre degradation, if they overheat the tyre too much in the early stage of the race, it does drop off in a couple of laps. So the Carlin Motorsport team push Samaya into position. Look to see what the issue might be. Possibly from what's being said, it may have been stuck in gear, which would be very unfortunate for Samaya. Meanwhile, Harrison Scott leads the field around on the formation lap. We just had a glimpse there of Thiago Vivacqua, currently 4th in the championship standings. He's only managed a 10th place finish yesterday. There is a look to the rear of the Carling car, just having, it would appear as if something is possibly jammed in place. So Harrison's got, he's won 7 races already this year. Mervadenithan won the first of the races at Spa-Francorchamps. It was Thiago Vivacqua who won the first race at the Hungaroring, which was really Harrison Scott's only difficult day of the season so far, when he lost his best time in qualifying due to a track limits infringement. Started from the back of the grid and eventually finished in 9th. There is Nikita Troitsky, Drivex car. Troitsky, who's been so consistent in terms of racking up the podiums this year. He's had 5 to his credit, not yet got a race victory. And the real challenge for all of them this afternoon is that Harrison Scott took pole position by over a second this morning. Thereafter, from 2nd down to 13th, they're only covered by 0.8 of a second. But if the race goes the way that qualifying did, we would potentially be expecting a level of dominance from Harrison Scott. The heat haze shimmers off the cars on the grid as Pedro Cardoso will line up in 17th. Once he's in position, then we'll get the signal and we'll go racing for the 2nd time this weekend here at Silverstone. They're all in position. It's time to look towards the gantry as the revs fire up. Look for the lights, they're on. They're out, we're racing at Silverstone. Who gets the jump off the line? It's a very good start from Devlin De Francesco, who anticipates it, but Scott blocks him out as they turn into Copse the first time. Also well away is Yanni Fitja and Nikita Troitsky. It's Alex Karkozik who slips to 5th. Christian Hahn runs very wide, as does Pedro Cardoso, as they head through Copse for the first time. And then into Maggots and Beckett's. They're all cleanly through. And already Harrison Scott trying to break away from the rest of the field. Everybody else jinking and jostling for position. One of the Campos cars at Simon Laxton runs a little bit wide. So they head on to the hangar straight for the first time. De Francesco trying to stay in the tow with Harrison Scott. Likewise, Troitsky looks to challenge Yanni Fitja into Stowe corner. Troitsky to the outside. He's going to go through, I think. And also looking to make ground, Ben Hingley. He gets elbowed aside by Thiago Vivacqua, but Troitsky is up to 3rd. He passes the German Fitja. Karkozik looks to challenge as well. Then it's Hingley with Vivacqua. Mateus Iorio as well in the mix, as is Mervadenithan. Somehow they're all still running cleanly as they fight their way out of club on towards Abbey for the first time. Already trying to stretch his legs at the front of the pack is Harrison Scott. Thiago Vivacqua moves to the inside of his compatriot. Oh, and it's starting to rain as well. You saw some drops on the camera lens as they turned through Abbey. As running wide there is Ben Hingley. That's going to be very tight. He rejoins in the path of Vivacqua. Iorio tries to take evasive action. Also in the mix there is Cameron. That's the 3 Campos cars, plus Ben Hingley in the Fortec entry. And it's going to be a blast down towards Brooklands. Scott leads, then De Francesco, Troitsky, Fitja, Karkozik, everyone else 3 wide into Brooklands. Oh, that's not going to work. They make contact. Around they go. Mateus Iorio and Cameron Das have tangled. The 2 Campos teammates have gone around. Such bad luck for Mateus Iorio. It always looked like it was going to be a risk, and hopefully they're not too badly damaged and can rejoin. It releases Thiago Vivacqua into with the clear air, and also buys Mervadenithan in a couple of places, and Petru Florescu, who runs wide through Copse once more. Lodovico Laurini into 10th. So already the leading duo, Scott and De Francesco, trying to break away from the rest of the pack. Well, Scott still got this battle all formed up behind Thiago Vivacqua in 6th. Ben Hingley, Mervadenithan, Petru Florescu, all part of it. Down the hangar straight. Hingley thinks about the move maybe on Vivacqua. There is the Romanian Petru Florescu. Into Vale. Stout defence required from Vivacqua. So he runs wide. Should have to concede that to Hingley, indeed he does. So Hingley goes back into 6th. Now here's another look at that tangle. Cameron Dass to the inside, just interlocks wheels with Matheus Iorio. The pair of them spin in tandem, and then as Dass's car comes loose, it goes over Iorio and dinks his rear wing. So certainly for Matheus Iorio, a pit stop a necessity. Cameron Dass may have got away without doing his suspension. Indeed, there you see Matheus Iorio's rear wing on the cusp of making a bid for freedom. Meanwhile, back into Brooklands the second time around, and it's still pretty frantic in the midfield. It's also tight for 3rd position as Nikita Troitsky busy defending from Yanni Fittia, 2 of the top rookies in the championship. And as they fight, it's going to bring Alex Karkozic into the mix, possibly Ben Hingley. And we've got Tarun Reddy looking to try and challenge Petru Florescu. Running wide is Eliseo Martinez. We've got a yellow flag as well out on the far side of the circuit. And this is Amaya Vaida-Nathan having a huge moment through Farm. So out of Chapel Curve. So many battles, you don't really know where to look, do you? Absolutely brilliant racing. And this is where we've got the yellow flag. Just wonder if that's partly for the recovery of Matheus Iorio's rear wing. As Yanni Fittia looks to the outside, and Nikita Troitsky side by side through Stowe. And Yanni Fitchia's going to do it. They're wheel to wheel as they come out of Stowe on towards Vale. Oh, that's a brilliant move from the German if he can pull it off on the brakes. He covers the inside line into Club. That was magnificently executed as he burst out of the bubble at the last moment. And despite the very best defensive efforts of Nikita Troitsky, there was not a lot he could do. And immediately it springs Alex Karkozic into this fight. It's also going to allow, I would suggest, Ben Hingley to close up as well. But this isn't sorted just yet, because now Troitsky looks to the outside of Fittia into Village, tries to get the overlap for the inside line to the loop. The German blocks out Troitsky. It brings Alex Karkozic into the battle as well. And this is exactly the sort of fight we were hoping for, as the wind has really picked up. It means that it's slipstreaming aplenty. Sadly not, though, for Matheus Iorio, as Troitsky has to cover the inside line into Brooklands. It gives Yanni Fittia a chance just to make a little bit of a bid for freedom in that 3rd position. And there you see another of Fortec cars, Ben Hingley, closing up at pace. Kuros from the Fortec team, which is the notes on the pit wall as now it's the turn of Alex Karkozic to apply the pressure to Nikita Troitsky. You can see the ground that Yanni Fittia has already been able to make up. You can see the ground that Ben Hingley has closed down. It's Tarun Reddy, his first weekend with a Vedrevex car, and right up there with Petru Florescu. So down the hanger straight. This is where slipstream effect will really start to come into play. And Karkozic not quite close enough to Troitsky to attempt the move Yanni Fittia was able to achieve a lap ago. There comes Hingley, which is Fortec teammate, who's now right with Alex Karkozic. Yesterday, Ben Hingley really in the thick of the action. So the race leader, Harrison Scott, pulling clear of Devlin De Francesco. 3rd place, Fittia. 4th, Nikita Troitsky. 5th, Alex Karkozic. And Karkozic has now got his mirrors very, very full indeed. Which side does Hingley go? He looks to the outside into Village. He's going to go for it around the outside of Alex Karkozic. It's going to give him the inside line for the loop. Don't shut the door, Alex. He doesn't. Great drone from both of them. And Hingley makes the move stick. Very well judged. And that, to an extent, was circuit knowledge. Hingley knew where he could put the grip. He knew exactly where he had to position the car. But Karkozic immediately looks to fight back down the Wellington Straight. This is where they're driving into the headwind. And Alex Karkozic thinks about having a little bit of a look to the outside. Can't quite do it. It's going to give Thiago Vivacqua and maybe Amaya Vaida-Nathan the chance to close in. Meanwhile, Tarun Reddy goes wheel to wheel with Petru Florescu. Both of them out to the very periphery of the curbing on the Exeter Luffield as they sprint through Woodcote. Karkozic back with Hingley. We're only on the 5th lap of the race, not yet at 1/3 race distance, but have enjoyed some great scrapping thus far. They're in 10th, 11th Lodvico Larini, 12th is Christian Hahn. And Reddy, if he can get a good run out of Beckett's, which I think he will, through Chapel Curve, he may well have a chance to challenge Petru Florescu down the Hanger Straight. He's going to be quite close enough on the brakes into Stowe. Doesn't look like it. The camera angle foreshortens. Yeah, still a car length or so adrift for Tarun Reddy, so nothing he can quite do. So now Scott leads De Francesco, 2.3 seconds up the road. Then it's a further 3 seconds back to Yanni Fitcher in 3rd. Nikita Troitsky in 4th. Ben Hinchley 5th. Alex Karkozic 6th. Tiago Vivacqua 7th. Meir Weidenheithen 8th. Petru Florescu 9th. Tarun Reddy completes the top 10. There is the race leader, Harrison Scott. Here is Tarun Reddy to the inside of Petru Florescu. Very late on the brakes for the Indian, but he does have the inside line for the loop. Florescu looks one way, might try for the switchback. Don't think he can really benefit from that. It's going to give Lodvico Larini, there he is, the chance to close up and join in as well. Now the boot on the other foot for Tarun Reddy, and he may well have flat spotted the Michelin tyre too. He braked very, very heavily. So around Luffield. There you see the gap from 2nd to 3rd. Nikita Troitsky struggling to close back into Yanni Fitcher instead. Troitsky's mirrors being filled by the similar Fortec car of Ben Hinchley. Hinchley having now broken away from Alex Karkozic, taking his turn to apply the pressure here to Troitsky. And Ben Hinchley, a point-scoring entrant to the Euroformula Open, and what that means is that Nikita Troitsky cannot afford to concede this place to Hinchley in terms of the championship. That said, Meir Weidenheithen, who's currently 3rd in the standings, and Tiago Vivacqua, who is 4th in the standings, are both some way behind him. What it does is enables Harrison Scott to further his stranglehold on the championship. Drivek's team watching the race, and there's not really much they can do beyond this point. Other than hope that Troitsky's able to rebuff the efforts of Ben Hinchley. Hinchley considered having a little bit of a leap to the outside once more into Village instead. Just tries to take a nice tight line through the loop. See if he can pressurise the error from Troitsky. Likewise, Meir Weidenheithen is now right with Tiago Vivacqua, and Weidenheithen, for my money, with a good toe hit, is going to be able to challenge Vivacqua by the time they arrive into Brooklands. Hinchley's not close enough. Weidenheithen is. He launches the inside of Tiago Vivacqua. Can he stop the car in time? He takes that tight inside line for Brooklands, but that's well done from Meir Weidenheithen. Judged it beautifully. And he's elevated up into 7th place as a reward. Alex Karkozic, the next target, 1.7 seconds up the road. So for the Carlin team, Guilherme Samaya, who has joined the fray eventually. Devlin De Francesco in 2nd. And then Meir Weidenheithen in 7th. On to the 7th lap of the race. Still Hinchley right with Nikita Troitsky. Vivacqua looking to try and come back, and Meir Weidenheithen down the Hanger Straight. Racing Harrison Scott been and gone. De Francesco a lonely 2nd. And he Fitcher secure in 3rd. Ben Hinchley still pressurising Nikita Troitsky. And Troitsky's defence, he and Hinchley are slowing themselves down. It means that Alex Karkozic was half a second quicker than the 2 cars in front last time around, so he is about to rejoin this battle as well. There you see the RP Motorsport car of Karkozic. And possibly now that Meir Weidenheithen is released into some clear air, he might be able to chase this group down as well. So for Nikita Troitsky, he'll hope to have his defensive hat on, because I fear he's going to need it for much of the rest of the race. The challenge, of course, for Ben Hinchley is, well, how hard can he push in the turbulent air from the car in front? Because as in Formula 1, these Lara F312 cars, they have a turbulent wake. If you get right in behind it, you fairly quickly start to grain the tyre, understeer, and that presents all manner of challenges. Meanwhile, through Brooklands, Hingley and Karkozic just a little bit offline. Harrison Scott gets the signal, P1. Almost inevitably, he has just set the fastest lap of the race as well. So he's currently looking well set for an absolute clean sweep of the weekend. We've got some great fighting going on behind. Weidenathan with Vivacqua, Tarun Reddy looking to try and close up to that fight as well. 7th, 8th, 9th. And then we've got this now three-way tussle for 4th because Alex Karkozic, as Troitsky's pace has just dipped, has been able to reel his way into this train. 2 seconds back from Yanni Ficci. They can see the third place prize as well on the table. Out of Stowe, Hingley not quite as close to Troitsky as he was a lap ago. And Karkozic appreciably closer to Ben Hingley. This has been a real breakthrough weekend for Alex Karkozic. Currently the 4th rookie in the race though. Di Francesco heads the rookie trophy class from Yanni Ficci and Nikita Troitsky. And then we've got the scrap behind. We just saw that Tarun Reddy had been passed by, Meir Weidenathan had been passed by Tiago Vivacqua. Tarun Reddy was also looking to try and make the move on Weidenathan as well. Here we have it, and there is Reddy, Weidenathan's former Carlin teammate. Behind his compatriot, so Tiago Vivacqua, somewhere out of our sight, was able to make the move on Meir Weidenathan. Now Weidenathan under real threat from Tarun Reddy as they come on to the Wellington Straight. And Weidenathan moves across early to cover the line. I don't think Tarun Reddy's quite close enough to pressurise Carlin car. Into Brooklands he's not, he just bobs and weaves behind him, but as they battle, of course, it brings Petru Florescu into the scrap as well. There is Florescu in the 3rd of the Fortec cars. Along the start and finish straight towards Copse Corner, Reddy again, looking to the inside of Meir Weidenathan, then jinks back into position as he has to. Now, Ben Hingley, he's right with Nikita Troitsky. Where do you look in this race? Wonderful fighting all the way through the field. But Hingley's caught Troitsky almost at the worst possible point in the track through Beckett's with all the turbulent air, the rapid changes of direction. It means onto the Hangar Straight. The Russian has bought himself just about enough time, just about enough ground to at least hold off Hingley through Stowe. Through the right-hander again, leaning on the tyres as we go over half-race distance. Breaks into Vale and Club. Through the right-hander. Hingley nestling in once more behind Nikita Troitsky into that turbulent air. You just wonder as well if Hingley were able to clear Troitsky with almost half the race to run, whether or not he'd be able to chase down Yanni Ficci, possibly push for an outright podium. Here is a likely move. Troitsky covers the inside line. Hingley look to the outside into Village. He hopes Troitsky makes the mistake, which he does. They draw alongside into the loop. Hingley will be looking for the switchback. He might get squeezed out here by Nikita Troitsky as they head through Aintree. We've got Weidenathan right with Vivacqua as well, and Reddy down the Wellington Straight. Here we go, and Ben Hingley is alongside Nikita Troitsky, punching the hole through the air, but Ben Hingley should go through. Willie Troitsky tries to fight around the outside, but Hingley sneaks to the inside, gains the place, and moves up into 4th position. Really good move from Ben Hingley. Now, can he hold it? Looks like he can. Immediately, though, Troitsky has got Alex Karkozic to 10 with. This is for the 3rd place in the rookie trophy. 6th in the race overall, and Karkozic right with Troitsky as they turn through Copse Corner. Still Vivacqua, Weidenathan, Reddy, Florescu and Laurini do battle. This is the 3-way tussle for 4th, though, through Beckett's. And Troitsky looking to try and come back at Ben Hingley. And Troitsky's cars always seem so well set up for the high-speed turns. And again, it means that Troitsky, I don't think, is under any threat from Alex Karkozic as they come into Stowe corner. Troitsky looks through Stowe. Out over the curb, doesn't run wide, all gathered up, all as it should be, on the brakes into the Vale. The question is now, of course, what Ben Hingley could maybe do about teammate Yanni Fitcher. The gap between them was 2.3 seconds. 6 laps to play with, could be on. Particularly as Troitsky is not coming back at him. Front of the field, though, it's all fairly settled. Harrison Scott leads again. 6.8 seconds clear of Devlin De Francesco. And Yanni Fitcher in third. We're following still the fight for fourth because it's been so good. Again, there you see the very grey clouds beginning to mass over the circuit, and given the stiffness of the breeze, there is every possibility we might get a short, sharp shower between now and the checkered flag. So here is our race leader, Harrison Scott. That is Guilherme Samaya, who unfortunately started from the pit lane 5 laps down after the car wouldn't get fired up on the grid, but great to see the Brazilian in the Euroformula Open field this weekend. Now the gap from Yanni Fitcher to Ben Hingley has come down by 0.4 of a second over that last lap, and Hingley is bringing Nikita Troitsky with him. 5 to run. This could be on for third place. Also depends, though, upon the instructions of the Fortec team, because a good result for Yanni Fitcher here is going to certainly have him knocking on the door of third place in the championship by the end of the season, were this sort of run of form to continue. So through Stowe towards the Vale. We're on lap 11 of 15. Fitcher on the brakes. And Hingley took a couple of tenths out of his teammate through the first sector. Nikita Troitsky able to run in his wheel tracks. And as a result, they've both shaken off Alex Karkozic. The Polish driver also made a slight error going into Vale. And you see the gap back to Tiago Vavakra and Amir Vaidenathan. Their battle has just settled down. So the gap from Fitcher to Hingley, it was 1.9 seconds at the end of Sector 1. What's it going to be at the end of Sector 2? Scott turns into Brooklands. Ben Hingley is reading in teammate Yanni Fitcher very, very rapidly. The gap between the pair of them is now just 1.4 seconds. Meanwhile, Petru Florescu's got a good run here on Tarun Reddy as they come onto the Wellington Straight, and Florescu may well go past here as Reddy's got to cover the inside line. Florescu draws alongside, looks to swoop around the outside, but Tarun Reddy determined to break late and deep, able to keep Florescu behind him. They're being caught as well by Lodovico Laurini. And this is what's so great when these cars start fighting, is because the margins between them are so slender. As soon as you start slowing yourselves down by a few tenths a lap, it suddenly allows a train of cars to form up. It's Florescu right underneath the rear spoiler of Tarun Reddy as they turn into Copse Corner. Lodovico Laurini riding with them into Beckett's. This is where Florescu is just going to struggle to stay with Reddy through the directional changes. Then out onto the hangar straight. It's allowed Vavakra and Vaidenathan to break clear a little bit. Brief glance in the mirror from Tarun Reddy. He knows that Petru Florescu isn't quite close enough to force the move into Stowe. And this is what these drivers really learn in the racecraft. It's the temptation when you can see a car from the mirror is just to defend, but actually, unless they're right alongside you, there's no point doing anything other than sticking to the racing line. So Lodovico Laurini close up onto the tail of Petru Florescu. Then in the background, you see another good scrap between Christian Hahn and Simo Laaksonen, 12th and 13th. 14th, Eliseo Martinez, 15th, Pedro Cardoso. And then Guilherme Samaya, several laps down in 16th, with Mateus Iorio and Cameron Das, our two casualties after that first lap coming together. Harrison Scott through to conclude the 12th lap of the race. Scott looking set for his 8th victory of the season. The 3rd weekend where he's completely swept the board. Meanwhile, Lodovico Laurini now up with Petru Florescu. It gives Taryn Reddy some momentary breathing space. The battle, by the way, for 3rd and 4th hasn't really come together. Hingley, having initially gained quite a lot of ground on Yanni Fitchia, that's now stabilised at a gap of about 1.4 seconds. And Nikita Troitsky, by going with Hingley, has been able to drop Alex Karkozic. So this is the closest tussle. Through Beckett. And he just has to focus on the exit out of Chapel Curve. The same for Petru Florescu, who rides the curb to good effect. Florescu closes up on Reddy en route towards Stowe. He's not quite close enough. It was another half a car length. He'd have been near enough to make a bid, I'd have suggested. He couldn't quite do it. Now, looking out of our commentary box window, that very dark cloud that you might be able to see on a wide camera shot is just about to drift over Luffield. And when it does, it's going to be bringing a little bit of precipitation with it. Of course, all these drivers on slick tyres. Just going to make it fairly tricky going. Harrison Scott, he comes out of Brooklands into Luffield, about to start the penultimate lap of the race. Meanwhile, there's Ben Hingley. As you can see, just shaking off Nikita Troitsky. Not getting much closer to teammate Yanni Fitchia. Troitsky en route to 5th position. He's going to outscore Amaya Weidenreithen and Thiago Vivacqua again. So he's only going to be giving away points to those behind him in the championship, Devlin De Francesco and Jenny Fitchia, but they're both quite some way back from Troitsky. And Samaya continues to sit between Harrison Scott and Devlin De Francesco, and the gap from 1st to 2nd has really opened up over the last couple of laps. There is the Canadian coming off Hanger Straight now. Devlin De Francesco, 11.3 seconds adrift of Harrison Scott. Didn't have such a great lap last time round either, Devlin De Francesco, into the 1 minute 55 second bracket. So that has not made life too easy for him. He's still got a 3 second buffer over Yanni Fitchia, so no particular concern on that regard either. So Francesco accelerates out of club. And Fitchia behind. Ben Hingley really making a huge amount of ground now on his teammate. Nikita Troitsky in 5th, well clear of Alex Karkozic, who likewise has got a comfortable buffer over Thiago Vivacqua in 7th. So into the last stage of the race, and it's just starting to look stable. Also, looks as if we are going to sneak it through to the checkered flag without any rainfall. Imagine the track though just feeling a little bit slippery for the drivers. Much colder than it was yesterday. As into the final lap goes Harrison Scott. Devlin De Francesco chases him through. Just shy of 12 seconds back. And Scott has been imperious all weekend. And again, the sort of performance that you just so rarely see at this level relative to the rest of the field. He's been taking almost a second a lap out of all his rivals each and every lap over the course of the race. And that really takes some doing. It was the form that we saw in qualifying this morning from Harrison Scott. He's been able to maintain that margin lap upon lap all the way through this race, all the way through the weekend. And it means that as we head towards Monza, there is a possibility, if things run in his favour, he may be able to wrap up the title in Italy. The RP Motorsport team, well, they have history of having dominant drivers. Sandy Stuvik in 2014 leaps to mind. even so, Stuvik wasn't quite as dominant as Harrison Scott has been. As Scott heads around the loop for the final time, accelerates into entry onto the Wellington Straight, and it's always very special to win a race. It's even more special to win your home races, and it's even more special again to completely sweep the weekend, which is what Harrison Scott has done. He has had 2 pole positions, 2 fastest laps, and as he comes out of Luffield for the final time, he can almost see the checkered flag. He accelerates through Woodcote, and Harrison Scott takes his 8th victory of the season. He does the double at Silverstone. The RP Motorsport team celebrate, and Scott's domination of the Euroformula Open season continues. Second place for Devlin De Francesco. He has had a really solid weekend and a great drive from Yanni Fitcher. He takes 3rd, ahead of Ben Hingley and Nikita Troitsky in 5th. Alex Karkozic completing the top 6. Still more sorting out to be done. And it is Vivacqua in 7th, Mayor Weideneifen in 8th, Ludovico Laurini in 9th, Christian Hahn in 10th. Now, this is what happened. It's Tarun Reddy and Petru Floresco, and contact between the pair of them. And unfortunately, that is it for Tarun Reddy. He's not come through. It's promoted Christian Hahn, Simo Laxonen and Ludovico Laurini. So more drama late on. A check then of the classification. Harrison Scott taking the win from Devlin De Francesco, who was the top rookie. Yanni Fitcher 3rd, and second rookie ahead of Ben Hingley, with Nikita Troitsky in 5th and completing the rookie podium. Alex Karkozic 6th, and then Thiago Vivacqua 7th. Amir Weideneifen, a frustrating weekend, but points in 8th. A great drive from Ludovico Laurini to 9th. Christian Hahn completing the top 10. Harrison Scott setting fastest lap along the way as well. Simo Laxonen finishing 11th ahead of Petru Florescu. Pedro Cardoso and Eliseo Martinez 13th and 14th. Tarun Reddy last lap contact. And then Guilherme Samar problems. Mateus Iorio, Cameron Das tangling on the first lap. Look then at the championship points. 102 points. Now the advantage for Harrison Scott over Nikita Troitsky, with Amir Weideneifen in 3rd, De Francesco up to 4th, overhauling Thiago Vivacqua and Yanni Fitcher, on the cusp of doing the same again, with Alex Karkozic leaping over Simo Laxonen in the standings as well. It's only going to be 3 weeks off now for the Euroformula Open field, because we're back in action on the 30th of September at the legendary Monza circuit, which always produces some of the very best racing that we have in this championship. The low downforce setup of the cars, slipstreaming, the like we should be in for a really entertaining visit to Monza. If you recall last year's pulsating battle between Leonardo Pulcini and Ferdinand Habsburg. Applause from the RP Motorsport team as Harrison Scott rolls to a halt in Parc Ferme. Pops the seatbelts and the steering wheels. He's going to have to be really quite creative now with the post-race celebrations. He's going to do it so often. Just to reattach the steering wheel. Onto the nose stand. He enjoyed that. Rightly so. Perfect performance as he celebrates with the team. Similar congratulations being proffered to Devlin De Francesco. Another very strong drive from the Canadian. That's going to help him in the rookie title fight too. Likewise for Yanni Fitcher and the Fortec team, after the difficult day they had yesterday. A really great drive, superb move from the German on Nikita Troitsky mid-race to confirm that podium finish. So lots of smiling and celebration, rightly so, in Parc Ferme. We will shortly be hearing from our race winner, Harrison Scott. Smiles all around as the drivers congratulate each other way in. Really excellent race from the Euroformula Open. Some fantastic dicing through the field. Very little in the way of entanglements either.
That makes 8, if the count is right. Do you still have enough place on your shelves for the trophy?
Yeah, no, definitely. Should have been another 2, but no, obviously very happy to get the 8th win here at Silverstone. Clean sweep weekend, obviously both poles, both race wins and both fastest laps. Just obviously incredible team effort all around, and yeah, just really thankful.
How tricky was the track today, because there was some little rain?
Yeah, it was a lot more difficult than yesterday. There was high winds, especially through the new pit section through turn 1. It was a real strong crosswind, which was making the car a little unstable. And yeah, a few laps from the end, a few spots of rain on the visor, but no, overall, no, not too bad.
And the title is getting closer?
Yeah, just need to keep working hard, keep getting the results, and yeah, see what happens at the end of it.
Enjoy the podium and the party. Thank you.
Harrison Scott led away from pole in race 2 at Silverstone, having to squeeze out Devlin De Francesco as they charged towards Cots the first time. Yanni Fitcher jumping into an early 3rd place. They're all cleanly through the first couple of turns, but there was some frenetic dicing behind on the first lap. Ben Hingley swamped by multiple cars from the Campos team. Eventually all got too close. Cameron Das and Matteo Siorio tangling at Brooklands, eventually resulting in both drivers being eliminated from the race. Meanwhile, the Mayor Vardenathan had a wild ride as he tried to overhaul Tiago Vivacqua whilst defending from Petru Florescu. At the front of the field, Harrison Scott was pulling away from Devlin De Francesco, as behind Nikita Troitsky was passed first by Yanni Fitcher and then by Ben Hingley in a very well set up move, which demoted the Russian to 5th position. He was able to hold off Alex Karkozic despite a race-long scrap. Last lap, Petru Florescu to the inside of Taru and Reddy. Not enough space for 2. They tangled, and unfortunately it was Reddy who retired on the spot. For Harrison Scott, however, an 8th victory of the season. His domination of the championship continues, and he has the complete clean sweep of the Silverstone weekend. Devlin De Francesco, 2nd place and top rookie, ahead of Yanni Fitcher, a hard-fought 3rd. So once more, celebration for Harrison Scott and RP Motorsport. So onto the podium, 3rd place to Yanni Fitcher. Runner-up, Devlin De Francesco, and the cheers of the RP Motorsport team to greet Harrison Scott to the top step of the rostrum for RP Motorsport. 2 from 2 for Harrison Scott at Silverstone, and 2 fastest laps, 2 pole positions. Fitcher and Devlin De Francesco ready to make merry with the bubbly post-presentations. So the 3rd place trophy for Yanni Fitcher. Runner-up for Devlin De Francesco. His strongest weekend of the season, Jesus Pereira. has the honours of presenting the trophy to Harrison Scott. Hugely successful season for Scott and indeed for RP Motorsport. Celebrate again. Time for the photos on the podium and then making merry with the bubbly. Time for the celebration. And Harrison Scott, as befits the race winner, able to get bubbly spraying first of all as well. Great moment for Scott, Francesco and Fitcher to celebrate on the podium. We'll now turn our attention to the rookie rostrum and then move on to Monza on the 30th of September, 1st of October, as the Euroformula Open season continues. A flurry of activity because just 7 days after that will be in Jerez, and then the season comes to an end at the Circuit of Barcelona, Catalunya, on the last weekend of October. So it was Nikita Troitsky who was third in the rookie class today. Runner-up, Yanni Fitcher with Devlin De Francesco taking the class honours once more. So not the easiest weekend for Nikita Troitsky. So a great weekend for Devlin De Francesco. 2 runners-up finishes, 2 rookie victories.
Presentation of trophies made by Jose Carlos Fassman, chairman of the stewards. First of all, to third place to Nikita Troitsky. Well done to Nikita. Here at Silverstone.
So Troitsky receives the third place trophy. Runner-up, Yanni Fitcher, and then Devlin De Francesco, top rookie once more. Celebrates with the Carlin team. Drivers will pose the photos, then unleash the bubbly, which means that it's time to say thank you for joining us this weekend here at Silverstone. We'll be back on the 30th of September in Monza. Until then, it's goodbye from the UK.
From the top step of the podium. Hopefully they've all done their photographs by now. Bit of champagne left in the bottle to enjoy a final couple of moments, and Devlin runs off the podium with a big smile on his face, and quite right that he should have. Fantastic. Well done, Devlin. Good weekend for you. Solid.
Yeah, we're really happy. The team did a great job. We knew it was going to be tricky here. We knew our people were going to be really, really quick here, but we definitely achieved the maximum. So on to the next one.
What were your thoughts before the race started, looking up at the clouds and all of a sudden it's declared a wet race?
Thoughts were really on at the start, really.